Call to order the President and Board of Trustees. Roll call, please.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
Trustee O'Rourke.
Here.
Trustee Peck.
Here.
Trustee Rassich.
Here.
Trustee Wojciechowski.
Here.
Trustee Benucci.
Here.
Mayor Collins.
Here, if we could rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Presidential comments?
I only have one, and it's a proclamation. Whereas the Northern Illinois Food Bank is a nonprofit organization that engages the community in a commitment to feed our hungry neighbors, and whereas Northern Illinois Food Bank provides meals for over 71,000 different people each week throughout the network of food pantries, soup kitchens, shelters, and youth and senior feeding programs, including over 80 in Will County, and specifically the Plainfield Interface Food Pantry and Green Harvest Food Pantry in Plainfield, and whereas the Northern Illinois Food Bank distributed over 55 million meals to hungry neighbors in 2015, and whereas September is Hunger Action Month, where the Northern Illinois Food Bank and over 200 food banks across the country are hosting awareness campaigns and events to bring attention and take action for the cause of hunger, and whereas the Village of Plainfield, the Plainfield Public Library, Plainfield School District 202, Plainfield Area Chamber of Commerce are hosting a community-wide food drive and collecting donations for Green Harvest Food Pantry and Plainfield Area Interface Food Pantry and Creekside Cares during the month of September, and whereas September 3rd, 2015 is National Go Orange Day. Now, therefore, is to be resolved that through the power vested in me as the village president of Plainfield, let all who do, have, and will reside in the village know that the village joins the Northern Illinois Food Bank in proclaiming September 2015 as Hunger Action Month in Plainfield, and it's witnessed by the Great Seal of the Village of Plainfield. Is there anyone from the interface?
Thank you.
Could you come over and stand by the flag right here?
Hi, everyone. I am Tiffany King from Northern Illinois Food Bank. Thank you so much for your support. And just as a reminder, as Mayor Collins said, we are encouraging everyone in Plainfield to go orange during Hunger Action Month. The orange is the color of hunger, and we already have a lot of great supporters in this community. District 202, all 31 schools will be participating with a community-wide food drive, as well as all the jewel stores, the library, and the chamber. So please stop by with some non-perishable healthy foods for all of the different pantries in this community. And I also wanted to share with you, September 22nd, there will be a fundraiser at Tommy Nevins Brewing Company on 59 and 127th. You're welcome to stop by and support that way as well. And finally, we are bringing our first event, community-wide event, to Will County. It's called the Foodie 5K. It's on October 3rd, and I encourage you all to come. It's at Chicagoland Speedway. It's the only run that's taking place on the apron of the course. You get to run, walk on the apron, finish in pit road, and then you can stay for the community festival that includes gourmet food trucks, a live band, entertainment, and a big kids zone. So you can find more information about that at solvehungertoday.org/foodie5k. I have some posters as well. Early bird registration is September 11th. After that, it's $5 additional. But if you have a storefront or anywhere that has high traffic, please take one of these on your way out and help us promote the event. It's our first event in Will County, and we're expecting a little over 2,000 people.
No, thank you very much. That's all I have.
Trustees' comments?
Tiffany, is it also, if I'm correct, that if people did not want to actually donate food, that monetary donations are really appreciated because you have better buying ability than what any of us would be able to do to go to like Jewel or somewhere to
Yes,
get.
thank you for the reminder. Actually, with our buying power and donations, $1 donated, we can turn into $8 worth of groceries. So monetary donations are always appreciated and will be well used. Every dollar donated to the food bank, we use 97% toward our feeding programs.
Thank you.
Are there any other trustee comments?
Clarification for the public. U.S. Route 30, Route 30, the project there, a lot of people have been very patient and some frustrated with the construction. I did want to remind the public that that is not necessarily a village project. We do have input and can make requests, but in the end, when they decide to proceed with construction, whether it's the weekend of Plainfield Fest, that's not the village's call, wasn't our call. And we do appreciate, again, though, the public's patience with the construction there, and we hope to see it done soon. Thank you.
Are there any other trustee comments? If not, this will be the time for public comments.
Nope.
If you have public
They have to
comments,
come up here, please.
come to the
Wish
podium.
to speak. Thank you. It's easier for the staff to hear as well as the people, ma'am. Okay, just so you know.
Hi, my name is Kelly Bianchi, and I'm sure you guys all know me. I'm the one that's been sending you the emails, the three-phase emails. And what I'm trying to do is to get inspectors to come into a ready-made apartments. We have inspectors for new construction. We have inspectors for commercial, but we don't have inspectors for the buildings that are already, there and we move in. I live next door to a building where the house next door burned down. And I have, basically the way that it works is that according to the lease I signed, it trumps state law, it trumps village code, it trumps like everything. And I realize that anything trumps state law. So basically, not only that, but I had an air conditioning unit that was leaking into my electrical socket and into a bucket. And basically, I was very ill and almost died. And he took advantage of that, or, of course I would, I was asking for a new one, asking for a new one, asking for a new one. So basically, without these inspectors, there's no way for us to know whether or not, these buildings are up to code. And now, because of the fact that I have been illegally evicted, nobody wants to say anything about it. Back about 4 or 5 months ago, we had Sergeant Collin and another woman from the village come in, and we showed her absolutely everything. And I guess they're still working on it, and he needs to get into the bottom apartment. But everybody is afraid to say anything now because they evicted me. So I don't know why. I mean, I was up to date and everything. So anyways, I'm sure that I'm going to beat that. But, basically, I would have to take my landlord to court if I wanted anything. For example, like a fire extinguisher belongs on every hallway. It's state law, state statute. Well, I asked him for one, and he said, no, it's not in the lease. So in order for me to get one, I'd take him back to court. If that was the case, I'd be in court 24/7. Me and him would be, I don't know how he would actually get any of his work done. He owns 2 other companies as well. So, I mean, the only way that we can do that is if we get an inspector to come in and inspect whether or not we have, because as soon as it burnt down, he had his employees like hurry up and go to the buildings and make sure that, you know, we had smoke detectors everywhere. And of course, we didn't, so they put them in the next day. So, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to, go over the material and, make a decision, but that's basically why I'm here tonight. So,
Okay, thank you. It is being discussed by the village staff.
okay, and when will a decision be made, do you know?
Well, working on it. Yet to be seen. Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mayor and members of the council, my name is John Tira. My address is 285 South Broadway, Coal City, Illinois. I represent Cheryl Bever. She's a petitioner and I filed a petition. During the winter months of 2014, her mailbox was damaged and almost destroyed. It had to be replaced. And the village has a resolution 1179 that was passed over 25 years ago, almost 30. And we're asking that you update that resolution with prices of mailboxes that are more than the very minimum one. And we feel that she's entitled to a mailbox of equal value for the one that was destroyed by the city snowplow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any other public comments? Then we'll proceed with the business meeting. We're seeking a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Trustee Liam,
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke,
Yes.
Trustee Peck,
Yes.
Trustee Rassich, Trustee Wajowski,
Yes.
Trustee Benucci.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. We're seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda to include minutes of the board meeting and executive session held on August 3rd, bills paid and bills payable reports for August 17th, cash and investments, revenue and expenditure reports for July.
So moved. Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to approve items A through C under the consent agenda. Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke,
Yes.
Trustee Peck, Trustee Rassich, Trustee Wojciechowski,
Yes.
Trustee Benucci.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 2015 Homecoming Parade. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to approve the 2015 Homecoming Parade and the road closures as identified in the staff report to be held on September 26th.
So move.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke,
Yes.
Trustee Peck, Trustee Rassich,
Yes.
Trustee Wojciechowski,
Yes.
Trustee Benucci.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Excuse me, Clerk. In regard to number 3, homecoming parade, I know Chief Konopek, is there a possibility that we would be able to speak to organizers not to throw things from floats, automobiles, et cetera, et cetera? I know we always discuss it, but I think it has to be discussed in a in a very positive fashion where we do not throw things. It could be hand given but not thrown.
We tell them that every year. We tell the entries every year. I'd kind of like to duct tape their arms if I could, but we encourage that every year because we've had some very close calls by them throwing candy from moving vehicles, and we will remind them again this year. But we've been trying to stop that practice for over 10 years now, and
It's impossible.
we're trying our best.
If I could relate a situation that occurred about 5 or 6 years ago, Mayor Collins and I and another individual were in Slidell, Louisiana, and there was a Christmas Day parade. People were throwing things. One girl dropped something off of the float. She went to pick it up, and her father, who was driving the float, ran her over, and she died subsequent to that. And, it was a tragedy, and I'll never forget it, and I don't want to see it repeated. So I certainly hope if anyone's listening that's involved with this homecoming parade, which is a great and a fun community event, please listen. Do not throw things, hand things to people. It's much easier.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
Rasich, you have a very valid safety concern. I don't know if it'd be possible, even feasible for our staff that are attending the parade to possibly document who is doing it and let the homecoming committees know what entries are violating our
We actually do that every year, and
Okay.
uh,
And are these entries
nothing really happens.
allowed the following year then?
We don't have any control over who they let in the parade, so,
Actually, it might be easier for him to keep a list of who doesn't.
yeah.
The
Yeah, at the
trustees
end of
don't.
every parade, we get with them and
We
we keep a
don't
list
throw.
of who's throwing candy from moving vehicles.
One suggestion, having been a person who did walk along and try to distribute stuff by hand into bags and so on, the parade moved so fast that it was, several blocks ahead. You just can't keep up. If we slowed the pace down, maybe that might make it a little bit easier for some people to follow along with their particular float and pass things out. So might consider that whoever leads sometimes moves out, and everybody else is trying to catch up. So something to keep in mind. Slow it down. It's a long parade, but part of the enjoyment is watching it all. So
We will give it our best shot again this year.
I might just remind the board also that a couple years ago we had Mr. Persons comes along with the street sweeper as they pick up the barricades and they sweep the whole street for those blocks. So by the time they get all done, at least 90% of the stuff is cleaned up. So, but I do share Mr. Rassich's concern because that was a traumatic experience when we were down in Slidell. So.
Are there any other comments? The next item on the agenda is J&L Paint and Sip, doing business as Twisted Cork and Canvas. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt ordinance number 3226, creating a Class V liquor license for J&L Paint and Sip, doing business as Twisted Cork and Canvas, to be located at 16108 South Route 59.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll proceed with the roll. Trustee Lamb?
yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 12709 South Shelley Lane fence variance. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to adopt the findings of fact of the Zoning Board of Appeals as the findings of fact of the Board of Trustees, and furthermore, to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance granting approval of a variance to permit placement of a black vinyl-coated chain link fence in the corner side yard at 12709 South Shelley Lane.
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
Point of clarification with staff. How does our village code address chain link fences just altogether? Is that something that's normally, I don't personally see many.
Technically we don't allow pure metal chain link fences. There is a gray area whether we allow chain link fences which are basically coated with rubber or synthetic material. The applicant has requested the ability to do a rubber chain link fence along the perimeter because of aesthetics and also because of the size of their yard. They have requested that. So it's somewhat clear. If it was purely metal, it would be prohibited. The fact that it's coated, I think there is somewhat of a gray area. Traditionally, it's really not become a huge issue because most associations simply don't allow them. As you know, most associations do regulate the fencing within subdivisions, so it's really a non-issue for the most part through most subdivisions because they don't permit it. In this case, there are a number of chain link fences within this subdivision. Based on that fact, the applicant's requesting to be allowed to have again, a coated chain link fence.
Thank you.
Is there a homeowners association as part of the subdivision?
I don't believe there is, no.
You know, Michael, it was hard for me to tell from the survey, and then you can see on this drawing, or on the aerial that's up there, that is the fence going to be kind of on the inside of all the landscaping or more on the outside?
That's correct. Within the fence, it will be within the landscaping. So it'll be within the berm, but it'll be fully within the landscaping for the most part. So applicant's actually here this evening to answer any questions, but the plan is to basically be within the berm and to be within the yard
So
itself.
the fence would be on the inside of the landscape towards the yard.
That's correct. So you would not see the fence from 127th Street, nor would you see it from Heggs Road.
And lastly, I guess on this point, I think we had some discussion before about bringing the whole idea of the fence regulation back for discussion, to maybe look at considering changing the ordinance.
Yes, as you know, you've seen a number of fence variances, and based on previous board discussion, that's something that staff is discussing internally about making a potential modification, along with a couple other modifications to zoning ordinance.
So that's something we'll probably see in the future.
Potentially, you'll see. As you know, we'll have to take that to the plan commission first, and then the plan commission will make a recommendation, and then we'll come back with the
You
village
made
board.
any comments on just the general?
I did discuss it. I think my recollection at the last meeting, and I'm not sure there's a complete consensus either way. I know the chairman feels fairly strongly that our current ordinance makes sense, but I'm not sure there's a complete consensus on the planning commission as it relates to our current ordinance with corner side yard fences.
Yeah, there was not a strong feeling that it was not an adequate ordinance. I mean, I was there for that. This is another one of these special cases that doesn't impact anybody. Actually, it's only a three-sided fence, because the fence on the bottom of the picture anyway is the neighbor's fence. So really just putting it along the Heggs Road, along 135th, and then to his front yard. And nobody can see it, black vinyl, it really fades into obscurity. So another one of those things, the Planning Commission discussed it at length. I think they came out with a very good decision that they supported the variance, and this is a good way to handle it. I didn't sense any frustration on their part to have to go through this. There aren't that many. There are maybe 5 maybe now that I've seen. So it's, anyway, it's one of the special cases.
I guess to go with what Trustee O'Rourke had mentioned, bringing forward that possible amendment to the ordinance. As I mentioned previously, there's several situations where there's more of a permanent structure, such as thick trees or bushes, and I think those are more permanent than a fence, or obstructing a view on a corner lot. So would it be fair to ask staff if we could possibly have that ordinance brought forward maybe before the end of the year? Is that a fair timeline, or what do you think?
I think staff is internally discussing a number of modifications, not, as we discussed before, not only the site plan review ordinance, the sign ordinance. This could be another modification to our current zoning ordinance we could bring for general discussion for the village board.
We would have that brought up.
Based on, if that's the direction of the village board, staff would be more than happy to do that. I think we're just looking for whether it's a consensus.
I'd like to see it as well. We're having these modifications come up constantly, so I would like to see it as well.
Just make it easier for the residents, and then if they're moving into a corner, they would know that they can extend the fence line if they needed to, unless there was a special situation that disallowed them from doing it. So I would support moving.
So based on the direction of the board, staff would be more than happy to bring that proposed modification with the other changes we've already been talking about.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not. The motion was made and seconded to direct the village attorney to prepare an ordinance granting approval of a variance to permit placement of a black vinyl-coated chain link fence in the corner side yard at 12709 South Shelley Lane. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 14921 South Route 59. We're seeking board consideration of a motion to direct the village attorney to draft an ordinance rezoning 14921 South Route 59 from R1 to business transition.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Are there any comments or questions on this item?
I just have one question for staff. Michael, it says in the report that the subject property, do they have an end user, or do they do not?
They do not have an end user. And based on that fact, staff did request that when they do have an end user, that they come back before the planning commission and village board with the site plan review, which would outline their future parking, landscaping, lighting. Generally, we do incorporate that in the rezoning when there's an end user, but in this case, there is no end user. Therefore, staff is requesting the additional step subsequent to if there's approval or support for the rezoning this evening.
Are there any other comments or questions? Not, the motion was made and seconded to direct the village attorney to draft an ordinance rezoning 149, 21 South Route 59. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries. Administrators report?
No report.
Management services report?
No report.
Engineers report?
No report.
Planning department report?
No report.
Building department report?
No other report. Just your monthly report. Just your monthly report. Just a monthly report that we submitted.
Public works report?
No report.
Police chief's report?
Thank you. First item I have, I'm sorry, excuse me. First item I have is seeking board's approval to authorize the sale of some personal property. It's a 2005 smart trailer. That's a trailer that takes speed measurements. We can move around to different locations around town. This one had a message board attached as well. With it being a 2005, some of the parts have malfunctioned, and because it is an older technology vehicle, we can no longer acquire replacement parts to keep that smart trailer up and running. So basically, it's outlived its usefulness as far as the technology part of it. So I am seeking board's approval to authorize the sale of the smart trailer.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt ordinance number 3227, authorizing the sale of personal property. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich? Trustee Wajowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. The next item I have is the operations report for the police department for July. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And if no questions, the last item is just a reminder to the public that we will be having our last 2 days of our weather radio sale next Wednesday and Thursday, August 26th and 27th. It will be at the Plainfield Police Department again from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. These last 2 days, we are going to open the sale up to non-residents. The radios will still be $10 for people that actually live in the village, but for anyone else, the price will be $15, which is still considerably lower than if you bought it online or at a store. So again, that'll be August 26th and 27th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Plainfield Police Department. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Just one comment, Chief, on the texting cell phone usage. We are increasing the enforcement of it. It went from 15 last year to 35 this year. So I'd like the public to understand that you can't do that, and you're liable to a fine. Is it what, $250-some fine?
That called me on the spot here. I'll have to look up the fine.
It's not a typical $100 fine. It's more than that.
It is a little bit more than that, yes. It is something, as far as traffic-related offenses in town, something that we do put a high priority on because of the distractive measure, and especially with all the construction you have going on in town, you have to keep your senses about you when you're driving through town. So any type of distraction obviously increases the chance of getting in a crash.
Chief, I think over your right shoulder you have an answer.
I've been advised by my esteemed counsel it's $245 with court costs.
Not cheap.
No.
Thank you.
How many weather radios do we have left? Do we have a count?
We have approximately 500 left.
500 left?
Yes.
Attorney's report? Reminders?
August 18th is our planning commission. The 24th will be our next committee of the whole. September 7th, the office will be closed for Labor Day. September the 9th will be coffee with the mayor. September 10th is the HPC meeting, and our next village board meeting will be September 21st.
We're seeking a motion to adjourn to executive session as permitted under the Open Meetings Act under Section 2C6 to discuss the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body, not to reconvene.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Trustee Lamb?
Yes.
Trustee O'Rourke?
Yes.
Trustee,
Yes.
Trustee Peck?
Yes.
Trustee Rassich?
Trustee Rassich?
Roll call.
Trustee Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Trustee Benucci?
Yes.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you.